That's all right. I know you're probably absolutely busy at the moment. You must be just doing promo and shows and things like that. How's it all been going so far?
I mean, it's crazy to be this busy, but it's also like we've waited a million years to be able to do this. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, it seems like everything is sort of clicking right with you guys because, like, obviously the singles have been doing really well on streaming platforms, and you've been on this new movie, The Retaliators. So, I mean, that must be a great feeling to have all this like great stuff happening. And how long have you been sort of waiting for all this stuff to happen? Like, how long have you been a band?
Man, so this lineup has been 7 years for
Okay.
us, and we all grew up playing music together in the local bar gigs. So to get here at, on a label like Better Noise, doing a cool movie like Retaliators and
Yeah.
having all this radio, attention, it's unbelievable. It's surreal.
Uh,
So we're very excited, but this album was supposed to have been released a long time ago, but then, chaos in the world and everything shut
sure.
down. So
Yeah.
the original release date was actually March of 2020. And we
Oh,
all know what
wow.
actually happened in March
Yeah.
of 2020. So we've been waiting to give you this gold mine.
Wow. So you've been holding this album back for 2 years then? Wow.
Yes.
That must be a very anxious period to get this sort of
Oh my
release out there.
gosh. Yes. So if that gives you some context for how ready we are to get this thing out into the universe,
Yeah.
we are so stoked.
Oh, so obviously the new album, Love, Drugs, and Misery, right? Coming out on
Yes.
Friday. So tell us a little bit about because this is the debut album, right, for you guys, the first release.
Yeah.
So
First release.
tell us a little bit about the process for this. I mean, obviously, a first album for a band, for any band, is an important sort of milestone. So how do you guys feel about it, and how did it all sort of happen?
Yeah, it's our first label release. We had released an album independently prior to this,
Okay.
and so I think we stuck to our roots. Where originally when we would write together, just jamming in the basement, right? It was
Mm,
like we were always so inspired by different influences, and I think you heard that a lot on our record
yeah.
because it was always such an eclectic sound, and I think that we've done that again. But this time it's got I think we've really challenged ourselves to include other things that didn't come so naturally to us, like Blow actually is part of that. I mean, it's just a very fun, feisty kind of take your brain out and headbang kind of song.
Yeah.
And we find that when we write ourselves, what comes more naturally to us is very emotionally driven and super vibey. And
Mm,
so it was a little bit, like we were working with producers on this record, and it was cool to have people get in a room and feel like they were just like an additional part of your team.
yeah.
And they were giving us these ideas and this feedback, and I feel like that kind of gave us an opportunity to get into a different headspace while writing, which I think is a great, Love, Drugs, and Misery is very much an emotional roller coaster because of that.
Definitely. So what did you learn the most during this period of the recording compared to what you did on your first one?
I mean, the first one was just the stuff that we loved to write in the basement, right? So there was no outside feedback. There was no like additional production quality. There was not, anyone that was kind of like making us think. I suppose it was just, you know, whatever came to mind.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as like, oh, it wasn't good enough to go on the record, you know?
Yeah.
So
No
I think
filter.
this time, yeah, there was no filter, right? Exactly.
Mm,
And this time, like we had a bigger thing that we needed to pull off. Like we needed this to be an amazing first impression,
mm,
on a label like we're on, and trying to get into a different, professional like touring world. It was very important for us to, be able to navigate that and make
yeah.
sure it was our best foot forward.
So how did the transition go from being in an independent band to getting signed to a label and then having all that stuff happen for the new album? Like what happened during that sort of period that sort of got people's attention?
You know, I think it was a kind of a mix of things. We knew when we started the writing process that it was going to be something that we wanted to shop, to do something different, to tour in a bigger, more massive capacity. We've always loved touring,
Mm,
and so we did a lot of stuff like DIY before we tried to introduce ourselves to bigger companies.
sure.
And what we were seeing was like people were buying our Eva Under Fire t-shirts off the website 20 hours from home. You know, there was only a handful of people that would show up, but like, there was a handful of people that show up 20 hours from home. It was like, we're doing something here.
Yeah.
You know, so then fast forward to writing with the producers, this was all very intentional for us to gain a bigger opportunity, to tour on a massive scale, because we just love it so much. And we started sending unsolicited emails from our like best song that we had finished with our producers, and like we did a really cool music video, and so it was just meant to be an introduction. Never in a day, I'd never think a day in my life that we would have gotten a record deal off of an unsolicited email.
Yeah.
And we did, you know. So for all those people listening, if you think it's impossible, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, chase your dreams, even as weird as they might seem, because it's like this world is full of crazy opportunities. So they flew us out to New York, and they said, hey, do you have more where this came from? We said, absolutely. And we're like, all right, well, let's do this. So who's your team? And we were like, what team? We are the team. We don't have a team. What do we need? You know? So shout out to the label for kind of guiding us in that, you know, to meet people. And then we got, you know, from there, we were management, all these other things started to happen. So our team grew from just the 5 of us to like, you know, 9 or 10 people overnight, which is pretty wild.
And then getting roped into the movie as well, which is, I mean, not a lot of bands get the opportunity as well to be in a movie, and I believe you played a role in that as well. Like you personally did some acting or whatever in the film.
It was amazing, yeah. So originally, they, you know, I think this is probably a lot of developing artist's story. They started and they wanted someone else, and that someone else wasn't available, and so I volunteered as tribute and was able to go and be a part of this film.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize was how much in love I would fall with the whole process. I mean, everyone on the set was amazing. The whole, I met Michael Lombardi and we were just fast friends. And then as the filming continued, they were running into some more scheduling issues and things. So Michael Lombardi called me up and he said, hey, I know we had you out to set to do this, you know, just to be a small like cameo, you know, performance. And he was like, but I really think that you could do like the full opening scene. I was like, you think so? It's like, I live a mile from like DTW airport. I can be on a plane like now, you know, let's do this. So, and it just, that's the way that the cookie crumbled. I mean, it was such a cool experience. And that's how we came to meet Spencer from Einstein Kills. And that's how the whole like Blow feature happened. So.
Yeah, because that song obviously has done really, really well, and a lot of people have heard the song, and obviously, you know, that band Einstein Kills is massive as well. Did you guys know each other before all this, or not so much, or?
Not at all. Yeah, we were so new, and it was basically like all of the, you know, powers that be sort of organized this, and they were like, hey, what do you think about, you know, having Spencer on the track? We were going to reach out, and I was like, is that even an option? Yes, thank you. You know, not only did he want to jump on the track, he was like, hey, what if we wrote the second verse, which, you know, is his part from the perspective of my character in the film. And I was like, this is amazing. I think this is going to be a great thing. And so it just elevated the song so much more. I mean, it's got a really catchy hook, but like having Spencer's presence on the song too, I think just gives it that extra edge that is so fun for people to listen to. And obviously, like, they're doing incredible things, you know, as Ice Nine. So fast forward to the following year when Welcome to Rockville came back, so we were all playing this festival. We were all kind of in the artist zone, and I see him just randomly kind of walk by across the aisle, you know, so I just enthusiastically wave from afar. I don't know if you remember me, you know, and he immediately, not only did he just like, our eyes locked, man, and he was like, I'm about to blow. He comes over singing the hook. I was like, you're so cool, man. And so that was our first actual like in-person introduction. We grabbed a picture. It was so cool. He's a great guy.
Awesome. So you mentioned before about bringing in your influences on your music. So I am curious, and I'm sure there are some names that might pop up immediately when you think of when you listen to your music. But who do you consider to be some of your biggest influences then, as far as like the music and vocals and all that kind of stuff?
I you're gonna laugh at me, but I used to think that I was too like nerdy for rock music. I didn't think I was cool enough for rock and roll. And when I started singing, I was very much like in the 90s pop kid era.
Hmm.
So I was very inspired by Alicia Keys and Christina Aguilera. I mean, those girls can blow, right? They got so much soul in
Yeah.
their voice, but I could not keep up with like their range. And maybe some people can tell when they talk to me, I have like a lower voice for a female. So what I really started to gravitate toward was singing along to Stained, Breaking Benjamin,
Okay.
even like Kill Switch Engage, like early days.
Oh, Jesse Lynch and all
So
that. Yeah.
it was really cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was that was my introduction to rock music. I really didn't come into the scene, I guess, until like um new metal, like
Hmm.
Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory,
Yeah.
right? I was I was so excited about Linkin Park Hybrid Theory, but I couldn't tell anybody because I thought they would all call me a poser. Now we know I just music is my heart and soul, and rock music is forever
Sure.
my vibe, and not just for the music itself, but like also the energy that is rock music. It's so like raw and authentic, and it's expected almost from rock fans. So
Mm.
when you get to the live show and you have like we have so much fun up there, um, I think people just really like they give me that energy right back, and it's so cool. Like I could
Yeah.
never forsake the rock show, so it's a very like almost like a sanctified thing. So I fell in love real quick with rock music.
Yeah, cool. And what about so are you guys are you from Detroit or
Detroit area, yeah. So we're all Southeast Michigan. We come from a place called Downriver,
okay.
Downriver Metro Detroit. So we're all from about maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes south of the city.
Okay.
Um, and I was affectionately called Downriver Rats. A bunch of blue collar kids that grew up playing music in
Yeah.
their garage and wound up here.
Oh, cool. So I am curious because I'm a big fan of just local music wherever that is in the world. And every time I get a chance to ask someone what is it like in their hometown, I have to ask. So what is the music scene like in Detroit and that sort of general area?
I think it's kind of sad because it's like a memory almost.
Hmm.
You see a lot of real popular, like Alice Cooper, and they those are the guys that come from our area that
Yeah.
that have claimed Detroit,
Yeah.
Detroit Rock City.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, and that's all that's left now,
Mm.
except in the underground. It used to be a very popular kind of concept.
Sure.
And when I first started playing, it was very different. So kind of before the whole corporate America got a hold of things and started to put a bunch of umbrella terms on everything,
Mm.
right? What is now the Fillmore Detroit used to be a place called State Theater, and so that was one of my first shows as a teenager youth. Just because these shows they would be able to have at these large venues, they would
Mm.
have local showcases, and so they would have like 15 bands just
Okay.
like kids and their friends, and they would just
Yeah.
throw us up there because they were like, oh well, people will probably buy beer if we open the doors, right? So they would all let us go up there, and a lot of us were all like in original music, playing original music.
Yeah.
So there was a much bigger scene, I think, in those early days, probably early 2000s, like right around the time that new metal was hitting.
Hmm.
um but anymore it's hard. It's hard for young people or unsigned artists even to like find spots to play that aren't just in bars. And even in the bar scene, many places don't even have stages. I mean, especially after like pandemic stuff, and like a lot of
Yeah.
our local stuff got shut down. So
Mm.
it's a really weird time for rock music, I think.
Sure.
um but you can never kill rock and roll. Like I have all the faith that we're gonna. That's like my personal vendetta is to bring back Detroit Rock City.
Yeah, well, I mean, everyone knows Detroit obviously for its past sort of legacies, and Alice Cooper and MC5 and stuff like that, So it is interesting to see, the trend because you hear stories about Detroit. Obviously the economy sort of went downhill for quite a while. And obviously COVID probably didn't help either. So I'm curious, like, do you think there's a chance that Detroit will sort of come back again, and sort of be the rock sort of, central place in the US?
I think it could. I really do. And here's the thing. So I did my undergraduate degree in Detroit at Wayne State University, and so I have a little bit of insider knowledge into the city and specifically the downtown area. And so like the last 10 years or so, it's really had a new life take on um I think there was a couple of corporations that like relocated headquarters downtown. And so you started to see all of this like young nightlife pop up. There's like new swanky bars and
Oh,
like
cool.
different other, and like Campus Martius is like a hopping spot in the holidays. And like, so there's a lot that I've seen. And there's another section of Detroit that's like the Southwest side. Um, my family, I come from a Latin American heritage, and
Okay.
like I'm third generation here, so they all came from the Detroit like auto industry back when,
Yeah.
right? So there's a large Mexican American population in Detroit, and we have the best Mexican food
Okay.
for
Cool. I
this
love
side of the
Mexican
border.
food.
And so in that area, I started to see another kind of like resurgence of like young people like riding their bikes, going to like the taquerias and like going, you know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
there's a vibe that I'm seeing that's coming back. And so I'm very hopeful that rock music can be part of that.
Cool. And obviously when you were sort of going out to see these bands before, your band started, was that a big inspiration or an influence on you sort of wanting to be in a band as well? Or what sort of started you to want to become a musician?
Yeah, I've always loved to sing. Oh gosh, I've been writing lyrics since I was like a little kid, like
Yeah.
first grade.
Oh,
I just
wow.
always have these melodies like pop in my brain, and I don't have any like classic training or that. So I just kind of, make sure that I had some way to record them or write them down so that I could
Mm.
remember my melodies. So I'd always loved to sing. And it wasn't until probably high school when a friend of mine was like, "Hey, my boyfriend's band needs a singer. You should go try out." And I was like, no, nope, not,
That'd be
no,
my
that's
reaction
not
as
gonna.
well.
I was like, are you kidding me? They're gonna eat me for breakfast. Like, no.
Mm.
Um, but she was very convincing, and said that they were very nice and that they would not, call me a poser or be mean to me. So I went over and I quickly noticed that she was right. These are just, and now it's so funny. I talk on these podcasts sometimes about this with other people, and they laugh too because like this rock music community is really like a bunch of people nerding out over music. Like
Yeah.
it's not like the cool kid club that I was so used to the idea of like 80s burnouts. My
Mm.
parents were always like so edgy, and they were listening to like, I was raised on Metallica and
Yeah.
right. So I didn't know that there was this whole other generation of rock music that was coming that I feel like they're all like my spirit animals.
Mm.
So I feel very at home now in rock music. And I think that the biggest inspiration for me though as a woman in this industry was Amy Lee. When the Fallen record came out and Bring Me to Life was hitting
Mm.
and I saw that woman perform live, I was like, I can dig this.
Mm.
This is my jam. It was the first time that I had seen a woman in rock music do it like her in my generation.
Yeah.
So I feel like everything else that I had seen before, it was beautiful,
Mm.
but didn't feel like mine, like Pat Benatar and Joan Jett and
Sure.
those belong to the generation before me. And so I was like, I don't really have any examples of what was happening for women in rock music other
Mm.
than in my little local scene. And at that point, there was none of them. There was like, I was a weird commodity being a woman in our local scene.
Okay.
So I loved that, when Evanescence really started to take on that throne, I was like, all the encouragement I needed right there. Let's do this.
I also get some other, like when you're talking about influences, I kind of also see a bit of Hailstorm in there, like Lizzie Hale, you know, especially in your voice. I know you've done a show with them before, and you're going to be doing another show with them pretty soon, right?
Yeah, so we just finished two separate shows
Okay.
opening, and now we're gonna get ready to go down to Louder Than Life, which is in Louisville, about 5 hours south of us.
Yeah.
And Evanescence and Hailstorm will be there.
Oh,
And I've
wow.
actually gotten a chance to like do these shows with Lizzie, and like, do you know that she had me up there to sing rock show? Like it was wild. I've never experienced it. I've never like a headlining set,
Yeah.
Hailstorm headlining set, and I was up there and I was like, this is so crazy.
Yeah.
I love this. So I'm in love with all of them. Yes. They're great
Awesome.
people.
So what is next for Eva Under Fire? What is the plan for the rest of the year and into 2023?
We have so many things. So, as you mentioned, our new album, Love, Drugs, and Misery, drops this Friday.
Mhm.
And we will be doing some festivals. We've got another few coming up. We're going to throw a massive hometown party for the final, like the release, the hard copy release. It's like we ordered CDs because we have to do like an old school CD release, like
Yeah.
to honor our roots. But then we have another awesome festival coming up with Aftershock, which is
Oh,
I think the first week of October will be at Aftershock.
yeah.
And then we're kind of going to see what goes from there, right? So if all of you give this album as much love as I think you will, hopefully 2023 is just the year of Eva, and we will hopefully be coming to see you guys shortly.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on everything. Well deserved. And thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. And hopefully one day we'll maybe get to see you down in Australia as well.
I would love that. Australia's on a bucket list for all of us in our band. So like we're as soon as we get the invite, we will be
Yeah.
there.
Well, talk to your label. Maybe they can make it happen. So
We're meeting fast friends, and a lot of them have been to see you guys before. So
yeah.
it's calling out all our friends, Einstein, Hailstorm, like hello,
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
volunteer as tribute.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
No worries, man. And thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it. And good luck for everything in the future as well.
Much love. We'll hopefully see you guys soon. Take care.
Cool.